A state House committee, which has the power to recommend the impeachment of state officials, laid out evidence some members say shows Attorney General Ken Paxton committed several crimes.
Some of the allegations have been public, but there were new details added to some of the evidence. Today, Fox 4's Stephen Dial joins us with more on the hearing on the Ken Paxton investigation. Stephen.
The abuse of power allegations against Attorney General Ken Paxton were new to some, but for some who follow politics regularly, they've heard this before. Now, yesterday, Ken Paxton called for Dade Phelan to resign after he says that he was drunk on the floor of the House. Today, Speaker Phelan saying that the evidence against Paxton shows that he, quote, routinely abused his powers. Wednesday's State House Investigations Committee hearing revealed a pattern of alleged crimes the five-person team says Paxton committed over the course of several years. The investigation details focused on what led up to a $3.3 million settlement following a whistleblower case.
I suspect privately a majority of Republican elected officials would like Ken Paxton to resign. However, that's very unlikely since the Attorney General has no shame and also knows that his best defense against criminal prosecution and other liabilities is remaining as Attorney General.
Rice University political scientist Mark Jones says Paxton's opponents revealed most of the allegations during the primary, but the public hearing Wednesday shined a new light on the alleged corruption. Most of the allegations center around Nate Paul, an Austin real estate developer who was under federal investigation and is a big Paxton campaign donor. Investigators say Paxton abused his power to help in Paul's multiple legal troubles. When a search warrant was issued against Paul, he filed an open records request for the documents. The FBI and DPS recommended the files not be released. But investigators say Paxton obtained the documents, and this is what happened next.
At some point, Ken Paxton gives a manila envelope to an aide that then drives that manila envelope to Nate Paul's business in Austin and hands it over to them.
That is correct, to him personally.
To him personally. And then at some other point, grand jury subpoenas 39 are issued asking for information related to the people that would have potentially been in that report.
That is correct.
That's correct. After the delivery, Paul no longer requested the documents from the government. Another allegation is that Paxton hired an outside counsel on his own, something the AG's office almost never does. Brandon Kamick was hired, and investigators say Paxton set aside $25,000 in taxpayer funds to compensate Kamick. It's unknown how much money he was actually paid. Investigators say Paul recommended Kamick to Paxton. The investigators say Kamick used a made-up position title of Special Prosecutor of the Office of Attorney General.
The Attorney General himself chose to hire an attorney with 5 years experience based on the recommendation of Nate Paul's attorney, give that attorney some job title that doesn't even exist with the Office of the Attorney General, and somehow give him the authority to issue 39 subpoenas to go after business interests for an individual and law enforcement that is conducting an investigation on that individual.
Just as the House committee meeting was starting Wednesday, Paxton did a radio interview with conservative host Mark Davis.
This is a level that is shocking to me, especially from a Republican House. This is what they have time to do as opposed to some of the important things like school choice or fixing the fact that the Court of Criminal Appeals struck down my ability to prosecute voter fraud. That's what frustrates me, that this is where they're spending their effort.
After the hearing, the committee met in executive session and took no votes. Speculation surrounds whether the committee will now recommend articles of impeachment against Paxton. The governor could call an impeachment special session, which Jones says isn't likely. The speaker could call an impeachment vote if 50 members sign on, or a majority of representatives call for a vote. Jones says Paxton's repeated successful campaigns shows his popularity with many Republicans and makes this a tough situation.
It's one thing to provide a detailed review of all of Attorney General Paxton's misdeeds over the past decade. It's another thing, though, for Republican lawmakers who have to go compete in a 2024 Republican primary to vote for articles of impeachment in the House and then vote to impeach the Attorney General in the Senate as the court.
After the hearing, Attorney General Ken Paxton said in a statement that the committee was appointed by, quote, liberal Speaker Dade Phelan. Now, even if the House votes to impeach, they will still have to have a majority Senate vote to actually remove Paxton from office.